Hello.
Hey,
How's it going?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Good. Nice to see you.
Yeah, finally, and yeah, we got a gift. So we were doing a business visit to another site where we
Hmm.
have access to. It's not gallery space, just so you know, but it's more office space. And then this is what we got for free.
Oh,
Perrier.
cool.
Um,
Nice.
but anyway, how are you doing?
Good. Oh,
Just
there's.
wait. I think you got some visitors, I'm afraid.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's cats in there going kind of crazy.
Oh, I mean, I love cats. So Bryce will be here in a few minutes. He had to go to the restroom,
Okay, cool.
but yeah, I was just well, first of all, I mean, we talked on the phone, which is not. I mean, it's good, but it's better, I think face to face, so we get
Yeah.
to. I was actually astonished when you pulled a surprise on me, but yeah, then we're definitely including you in that group show because
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
you're still Asian American as far as I'm concerned,
yeah, I don't. It's not something that I like tout or I don't know because I'm only like my dad is from Thailand, but his mom is from Massachusetts and she moved to Thailand. My grandfather's Thai, so my dad grew up in Thailand and then came here
hmm
for college. So I don't know. I mean, like whatever you want. I would feel no offense either
No,
way.
actually, you are automatically in there. I'm actually getting the oddest. I mean, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean, except they're all Asian, basically. I mean, it's a
Okay.
very weird motley crew, but it's like people that are like, well, folks that are still don't have American citizenship that are
Mhm.
China to like people that were born here. I mean, we have
Mhm.
I mean, it's going to be quite a show, but there's a lot of artists. I think we're going to have like 11,
Oh,
maybe.
cool.
I
Awesome.
mean, it's a big museum, so we could definitely fit. Well, depending on the size of the pieces, your pieces are not epic scale, so which is great. I mean, I jokingly say you might be like our postmodern Morandi.
Yeah, that's that's perfect.
I mean,
I love that.
minus the somewhat sketchy parts of Morandi's career.
Hmm.
So, but cool. Well, I'm very excited to meet with you. I mean, it's great to put face to the voice.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I gather your a lot of your stuff is you're just mostly spending your time teaching and preparing syllabi, and painting is kind of like you have to finagle that basically, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, lately I've had more time to paint since we've been remote. I've been oh my God, sorry, I just have to get my cat to stop doing something.
Oh
He's
well,
like gonna,
if your cat wants to read War and Peace, that's up to you. So.
I just have to get him to not eat this
Mm.
thing. This is not gonna make it any better. But I'm just gonna put it in the other room. Go in here. Um, okay, sorry about that.
Oh,
Um,
that's
just
fine.
gonna swallow some string. Okay, so yeah, I've been in studio more because teaching remotely, I've been able to go teach from studio. Today was parent teacher conferences, so I've been at home like on Zoom all day. Um, but yeah, both are real
Yeah.
time commitments.
Do you actually have a separate studio, or you actually just it's in your apartment basically?
Yeah, for now I have a separate studio um, that I share with my partner, and but we're about to move to a bigger apartment, so then we won't have to rent a separate studio space. We're both artists, and we'll use we'll use the bedrooms.
Huh.
We're gonna move to a 2 bedroom, so we'll have like we'll each have a
Oh,
studio, but then we're just gonna live in the living room like a studio apartment.
yeah, which is much better. Is your partner a painter as well, or
Yeah,
that's awesome?
yeah.
Wow. Did you both go to Yale or?
No, he went to Hunter.
Oh,
Um,
that's
but
not a
like,
rival school. They go together.
yeah, I didn't
How
get
did?
into Hunter actually.
Well,
Um,
doesn't matter. I mean, you both got into some MFA program, so
yeah.
that's important. I mean, it's good to have variety. So, how did he like Hunter, by the way?
Oh, he loved it. He had
That
a really, really
that's a longer program. Like,
yeah. He was 3 years.
was it worth the extra year, or is it kind of like meh type of thing? I mean, because some people
No,
like
I
it.
think it was, I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of people there part-time, which is why it's a longer program. So there's more people who are like working and in school at the same time. And I mean, it's like the cost of going to Hunter is much more affordable than a lot of the private universities, and you get studio space. So it's basically like you have a studio in New York for much cheaper than you would pay if you were renting a studio in New York. And you take these really cool classes with great faculty. So yeah, I think it was a really good program.
Yeah, I mean, one of my friends graduated from Hunter just
Oh, cool.
last year, so I was just
Did
curious.
they like it or no?
Well, he obviously liked it quite a bit, and it's just really, I don't know how to say it. It's just, he had a very difficult career because he was a rock star artist in Chelsea, and it was a battle because yeah, I met his art dealer. Interesting, woman. Interesting woman. But
he had an art career and then went to get his MFA
I'll
afterwards.
tell you the story. So I won't say much more because I don't want to specify like the individual, but
Sure,
not an
yeah.
ethical art dealer. But she sold work and brutally. But she also had a very high-powered lifestyle. Like she loved horse riding. I mean, she grew up in a rich Massachusetts family, and I won't say more because then you probably know who it is sooner or later. But it's like, but it got to the point where she didn't like have cash on hand, and she would pay artists in cocaine bricks and stuff like that. Yeah, like you can not really use that to pay your rent,
Nope.
But it's all about partying. Chelsea collapsed. She couldn't afford the gallery, and her posh Chelsea. I mean, she lived above her gallery, and that ain't cheap. I saw her gallery, real nice, but it's just like unfortunately, a lot of my like friends or associates that I knew from there, they had major drug addictions from all the partying.
Oh wow.
So they had to go to rehab, and he didn't get. So he went. I think he went to Cooper, and it took him like 10 years to just get everything straightened back. He decided the MFA was the way to go, I guess. But he changed his style completely, like quite a bit, radically. But he also.
I mean,
but his work grew. Now he works way small, which is good.
Yeah.
I think that's better. But in Chelsea, like works were just big ass because it had to look impressive. But to be honest, that also doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, not to say that his work sucked, because I actually liked his work, but I think it got better when it went more intimate. And I think it's good nowadays with COVID, like works. I mean, I love your work, but it's like not everything has to be like 6 by 10 feet,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, scale is something that I would like to think about more, but and I have one painting in the studio going that's 5 by 5 feet, and that's probably the biggest thing I'm working on. I've worked on in a while, but I think I like the process of working on a smaller scale more, because the decisions that I make feel more like I feel like I'm making more decisions as I paint. Whereas when I'm working on a bigger scale, I feel like I'm just like doing more labor, but making fewer painterly decisions along the way, kind of. I don't know.
Oh yeah. So as a short aside, like was your education, I mean, obviously your partner pretty well. So how was his experience at Hunter different than what you experienced at Yale? Because Yale, has this aura of utter prestige. I mean, people worship. I don't know. They worship the school, and I've never been to that part. So I'm just very curious if it was like just 10 times more critical theory reading, or just you got like crazy more number of critics. Or...
Oh yeah. Yes. So yeah, Hunter, from what I gather from his experience, felt more like people were more independent, and there was less oversight over like what you were doing at any given time. You could take the same number of classes pretty much, and were exposed to probably similar theory and reading and critical thought that you would get at any grad program. But there were fewer studio visits and fewer critiques, fewer crits. Whereas at Yale, it was like studio visits 2 to 4 times a week, and then
That's
like,
a lot.
and then like huge crits twice a year, 2 or 3 times a year. So there was just like a lot of eyes.
Well, not that. Also Yale's pick crit has been very notorious. I mean,
yeah,
everything from people crying to I actually heard there was a fist fight once.
whoa. I had an experience where the professor cried, which was
no,
odd.
there was 2 students at Yale that I don't know who it was, but yeah, they were like disagreements, and that went off the canvas to the boxing ring. And
I wasn't there at that time, but I did hear about it. But
yeah,
my like weird experience in pit crit was that one of my professors was just so enraged that she started crying, but it wasn't clear to me why.
I know it's really interesting, and it's funny. Maybe things might have changed too, because I know Anoka Farki is one of the co-directors, and she's actually a really nice person.
Yeah, she's
brilliant person. So, by the way, this is Bryce. So I'm gonna mute to let him talk a little.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I like your cat in the back.
Oh my god. What is he doing? He's trying to get to that thing.
I have 2 cats, so I was like, oh, a cat. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good to meet you.
Yeah.
Albert, unmute and see if it's
I see. There's a cat
much.
doing a weird.
Okay, I think it should work now.
Is there an echo?
Not really.
That you
a little,
can hear?
like a tiny bit.
Because we are like next to each other.
Actually, it might be the fact that if my mic was running through my webcam rather than through my Bose headset.
To me, it sounds good now.
Okay. Cool. I just wanted to make sure because I was like, I don't want to unmute if it was going to be bad,
Yes.
But awesome.
Yeah, cool. Nice to meet you.
So yeah, I'd be as I said before, our meeting was to get to know each other. Also, hopefully we can get some of your work shown here, which I really am excited. I mean, I actually wanted to get one of your works, but as a student, it's kind of like I still have to figure out how to pay for one of your works, So.
Wow. Well, just let me know.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this cat.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm very transfixed by the skull painting. I assume that's not yours. Is that yours?
No, it's one of our friends. No, it's one of our friends, but I really like it.
I love it.
Yeah. It's so cool. I can bring you closer to it if you want.
Oh yeah, I'm just very curious because it looks very neo-expressionistic from.
This cat. Sorry, I have to show you this cat if you're just cute cat. Okay.
That is impressive.
His work is really cool. It's like I don't know, the way he creates like these the kind of like funky cartoony figures, but then he puts them in space in cool ways.
That is impressive, and I really like it.
Matthew Eubank, I think.
The brush. I see the brush work. It's very impressive.
Yeah, it's nice.
For the shadow parts of it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It looks like it's It's not paint. It's charcoal dust, and I think with some sort of maybe medium, like acrylic medium or something.
That's still impressive.
Oh, that's way cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for your work,
Matt.
go ahead. Sorry. For your.
His name is.
Oh yeah.
Is Matt Eubank.
I'll
put it in the chat.
That'd be cool. Yeah, for your work, I was thinking initially, like maybe obviously cost of shipping is the main factor. So like we're thinking like works on paper, like
okay.
But and then maybe 1 or 2 paintings, just so that in case people ask, and obviously yours is easier because they're not big. I mean, don't ship the 5x5 because that. That's
be
pretty
hard.
big.
Yes.
It's pretty big. But the thing is, just to give you an example, like Abdul-Barr decided to give us nearly 200 works on paper. I mean, poor Bryce has curated something out of that, but I think we have enough material for like 15 solo shows, honestly.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was a lot of work, but it was good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking maybe the ones that are on paper are the looser like chair studies, and they're mostly like oil stick on either like regular paper or like a plasticky sort of paper that's very thin. Yeah, so those won't be too crazy to ship.
Yeah,
I don't know. Actually, don't know.
They're pretty light. Well, actually, Abdul-Barr's shipping costs were like what, $10 to 20. So, and he sent 200 works.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty cheap. Yeah, like
cool.
we actually have 200, almost 200 works in inventory. Like crazy. Like,
how big are they?
Bryce
are like 16 by 24.
Oh, okay, yeah, similar. Like
the really difficult stuff we're going to figure out is he did a lot of charcoal newsprint, which is really hard to like figure out because we can't just like smack it on the wall. That's pretty delicate.
Yeah, so I've been really trying to figure out what to do with the newsprints because I have about like 4 of them that I want to put up, but I'm just like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it without obviously putting something sticky on the newsprint, because if you try to rip anything that's sticky on the newsprint off, it is not, you know, it's gonna just rip the whole thing. So yeah, that's been kind of a work in process on just kind of like, how do we want to hang it and still keep it like good? But yeah, fun aside that
actually it's not a trivial issue because you're trying to get into museum conservation. You're going to face stuff that is dust almost, and you're going to figure out how do you display that. So this is probably easier.
Is that the grad program?
We're actually all undergrads.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Okay. Oh, cool.
We're just ahead of the curve because because we're trying to do some pretty ambitious stuff at an undergrad level, but especially curatorially.
Museum conservation, Bryce?
I'm kind of thinking about doing that, and I'm also thinking about doing maybe something along the lines of like provenance, like art theft and crime, stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, but right now it's anthropology and art history. Like I'm doing a double major, so.
Conservation interests me endlessly. It's very strange.
Yeah, there's been a lot of interesting cases of conservation too. Some that have been very bad.
Yeah, I like the Venn diagram with science. I mean, it's mostly science. It's very scientific.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the chair paintings, they're not that delicate. The paper, the way I hang them in studio is I'll just put like a tab on the back, and then I put so there's like 2 little things sticking up, and then I just put thumbtack or like map pins or thumbtacks in those little tabs. So then the paper kind of hangs down off the wall. They would look better framed, but that's like an expense that I don't have the capacity to take care of.
Actually, we may frame a few of them depending on.
Oh, cool.
So we might. I have a framer and we always joke and say worst comes worst, IKEA, ironically, in a pinch. But
IKEA frames.
But I'll tell you the truth, we got some interesting shows coming up. We got a group. Well, it's not a group show. It's somebody's private collection in Chicago. He shipped us inkjets of the history of his art collection, and he wants to exhibit that. It's very conceptually driven, but he's like an important collector in Chicago, so we're pretty excited about doing that. But the thing about the space, and you have to come visit Salt Lake, is that it's so big. Like, I mean, it dwarfs your apartment by a lot. It's just like we could literally have 3 solo shows or 4 at any given time. Like, I don't know, like how to fill it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like if it were closer, I could put the bigger works in it, but like.
Well, small works are still important, even bigger. And plus, it might get someone interested in the bigger works because we can list them virtually.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you'd be surprised. We just sold our first piece, and it wasn't exactly the piece we expected to sell the first, but we're pretty happy. So, yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was nice to also pay the artist. He's my friend, so he's at Cal Arts, but we didn't get in a Nada house, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
It was very competitive. We had probably over 100 galleries.
Yeah, it said there was over 100 applicants. So
wow.
Yeah, for probably 25 positions, which I mean, we're competing probably against blue chip galleries, and I'm like, yeah, we're not going. As a newcomer, that's probably
Yeah, I think galleries generally. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it seems like they tend to exist for a little longer before they're accepted into Nada.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's still nice. I mean, if we got it, I mean that's just the Nada House fare. But if we got in just the regular membership, that still would be nice, regardless. But we'll see, because it's really all committee decision. We're just going to put our best foot forward. We got this museum proposal, which we're really excited because we really need an Asian American contemporary visual language group show, because now more so after the incidents this week, we just got to bridge that culture. And it's funny because, Asian American artists Asian art's pretty popular. So, but I'm talking about Asian American contemporary art doesn't have much visibility, honestly. It's bad. Like, it's funny because economically we, as a minority group, we're doing fairly well, but culturally terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, except for the movies this year, we got lots of nominations. So, I mean, actually the U is heavily nominated for Minari. So we're very proud of our school.
Yay.
But the problem is, unfortunately, these crimes happen regardless. So It's just terrible. It's just like there's two different things going on. So
I was I did, this was must have been, this was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I did there's a program run by the Bronx Museum called AIM, which is like an emerging artist professional development, I don't know, residency? It's not really a residency, but series. And one of the workshops was with there's a series of workshops with different arts professionals, from everything from like taxes for artists to like galleries to all sorts of different things. And the person who they had to come speak on galleries and relationships with galleries was talking about how like Asian American artists are like the least collected group, or like the least represented group.
Very much so.
Of anyone. And that it's not represent, like the art world does not represent, does not have like parity and representation of Asian American artists at all.
Yeah, well, we're going to change that. This show is going to hopefully be groundbreaking, even if it's in Utah. But we have a very beautiful new museum that just got completed in Ogden. So I was just there. It's huge. So, well, if the proposal goes through, we'll get 2.5 floors worth of museum space. I think that should be a good overview, hopefully.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But I mean, it's interesting because I think museums are important for education, and it's also a good way to outreach, especially during a time where, I hate to admit it, just like foolish racism is just rampant,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, in New York, in Chinatown, I heard some guy got stabbed with a kitchen knife. Like,
I heard some, I didn't know it was a kitchen knife, but
he just got speared, literally. I mean, that's depressing, And then this is New York. And
like, why would you? And like, you're in a Chinese neighborhood. What do you?
Well, that shows you the hatred, happens anywhere. Like, people are willing to infiltrate. anything to just do stuff that's completely, well, evil, to be honest. So, but that's why I think this is really important. Now that I know that I consider you Asian American, so I'll just say that. So it would be great to have your work here, and then, and I think Works on Paper is a good place to start, because actually, knowing that Utah, a lot of people are still like trying to know who these artists are. Like, it's affordable way before they start getting to spend a few $1,000s for paintings, which, especially in this economy, is rather challenging. Well, it's even challenging in New York too, not just here,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, so should I send you images, or what's the?
Well, yeah, you probably will send just like what Chun did, images with all the information, because then we'll do the spreadsheet, but then obviously I'll give you like the address, because it's a different address where to send the work. Like Chun basically kept it very simple. So we had the checklist, Bryce and I keep track of the inventory. And then we'll figure the solo show like later this year. The thing is, not everything may be listed on Art Fair, because Art Fair is like the restaurant. We sometimes want to keep some sort of exclusives to give them incentive. I mean, we have to give an incentive for people to want to go eat and then buy your work, which would be nice. Right. Especially, after eating his Indian food, I definitely want to look at art. So that's pretty much where we're at. But I mean, it'd be great, because your work is also, I think, has a really good possibility, because we have a lot of educators in the area.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But I mean, there's obviously more depth than that, but in terms of like getting that initial appeal, I think it would.
Yeah, and also kids tend to recognize what it is before adults, because they're like, oh, the chair. Like they're in that architect. Well, not now, but normally they'd be around that architecture and furniture all the time.
Yeah. Well, you did allude to say you were going to try to apply for residency or something, or I'm trying to remember. Maybe not.
I generally try to send out applications to various things throughout the year, and I often don't even remember. Oh, I was applying to a Queens Museum residency. I didn't get it.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought it was. Okay.
Yes.
Those things are very competitive, and it's always random who they select, I feel like.
Yeah. I think they didn't, I saw who they selected. They didn't select any painters. It seemed like they were going more the social practice route.
Well, I think that makes sense, considering I'm going to be blunt with all the shit that's going on. We probably should get some more social practice, because, I mean, like Black Lives Matter, and then now Asian Americans, maybe this is a good time for them to like get some Asian American visibility. I hate to put a negative spin, but I don't know. So
yeah, I think so. I mean, the artists that they selected looked really cool. And I see why like they selected that group, and I don't think it was like anyone's better or whatever, but just that they're trying to craft a program that like is based on social practice rather than like a traditional residency. So that makes sense.
That's good. Well, and also it's kind of interesting, because that's the art world has a lot of white privilege and even white supremacy. I mean, that dude at the Indianapolis Museum of Art, oh my gosh, like admitting that you are focused on a mostly white core audience, that's just like you just like lay bare your intentions that you are racist, like obvious. And you're like the museum, like luckily they included him out, but it's like, wow, that's like, if that was just one person, maybe there's others, like, and this is not good. So maybe this is a good time for us to get a reckoning, to get some more diversity and sincere diversity instead of lip service.
Yeah, there's lots of tokenism also in the art world.
Oh yeah, but you get to see that more in like New York, where there's a lot of diversity. Here, Utah, we don't, because admittedly it's still predominantly Caucasian. So
yeah.
I really like your scar.
Thank you. Actually, it's a birthmark. But I also have a scar, but it's on my leg.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. No, the scar work I like.
Oh, the scar work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that is On my
I
leg.
like the birthmark too.
There's also
yeah, it's very, very exquisite. And but you know, it's really important because that's part of identity. One of my professors has a birthmark on her neck, and
oh, cool.
she used it for her photography practice as a jumping into the idea of colonization in the female body. And
yeah, oh yeah, there's a painting there, like in this among the scar paintings, there's also a painting of my birthmark. So they're all like mixed together, but the scar and the painting work is all.
I really want the scar.
Thank you.
Like, I really like it.
so
yeah. Wait, are you talking about the one that looks like a map or the ones that are like tiles?
Yeah, it's on a steel rod.
Yeah.
That's like a map. I love that.
Yeah, I was thinking it looks like a map and kind of in real life. I mean, that's just kind of what it looks like, but not quite those colors. And yeah, I was thinking about maps. So at the time that I was painting that, the Boston, the public school system in Boston decided that they were going to decolonize. In an effort to decolonize their curriculum, they changed all the maps that they were using from like a Eurocentric map to one that I think centers Asia. And I don't. The center of the map is not the Atlantic Ocean; it's something else. And I think that's awesome. However, like the way you teach is just as important as, or more important than like the map, the particular map that you're using.
Yeah.
So, but it got me interested thinking about maps and like the body as a map, and
okay, that's
the
actually
things that happen on a body is like
way cool.
You know, almost like geological.
Yes, that's sweet. I love that.
Well, you know, what really drew me to your work initially was not just simply like this semblance of class configuration, but that essentially you're actually an abstract painter, very much.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, but the photographic cropping, well, you know, basically just interruption of the main image is really awesome. And that's what really drew me heavily. And I really am into that because there's a lot of philosophical stuff, not just simply the, you know, educational environment. So it just interrelates all to that, which, yeah, let's just say totally awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree that I am even though I'm pretty faithful to like observation, I do agree that I am kind of an abstract painter beneath it all.
Well, yeah, but I mean, abstraction doesn't have to be like random daubs of like whatever on the support.
Right.
You know, I mean, abstraction can be achieved in different ways. And I mean, that's what photographic abstraction is in most cases. Well, apart from some very experimental work, you know, like Mariah Robinson and stuff like that. But it's just, I think it's nice to have these diversities of visual languages, and pretty excited. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about cropping a lot too.
Oh yeah. Do you work purely from observation? So you don't do any like, so like, does it take you sometimes like a few days to, you just leave it and then, or you mostly do preliminary studies and then work off the studies?
Yeah, I almost never, yeah, I was talking about this with a friend, like I almost never make studies because it just feels weird to me. I mean, I know that's like a normal way of working and like it is valid and I encourage my students to do it, but I tend to just start and then I'll just have a bunch of layers of like drawing of like underpainting of slightly different compositions until I settle on one. But if I were to make a study and then like repaint it, it would feel weird to me. I don't know. I just,
that's fine.
Yeah,
It just meaning that it's not a natural element of your practice. That's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah, not studies, but
cool.
Definitely like I do definitely like oh my god, sorry, my brain is dead today after like I've had like
fine.
I've had 15 parent teacher conferences. I do like rework the composition a lot. It's just like within the painting as the painting is going rather than like beforehand.
It's more of a hands-on visual study.
Yeah.
Really, because it's just kind of like taking your composition and your idea and then you just kind of start working out from there and then you change stuff. I feel like I kind of do that with papers too. in a way, writing.
Yeah.
Like just get
Yes.
your thoughts on the paper and then like you can fine tune it later.
Yes, same, and yeah, similar process. Yeah, and also like the sort of like the time spent with those objects and looking at them and just like being in that same space is all kind of part of it, and would be different if I like had a more delineated like this is the planning phase and this is the painting phase. It's all like all part of the thing.
Yeah. I really like your passing rate too.
Oh, thanks.
That's post-it notes, I'm assuming.
That one's actually like weirdly big.
Yeah, it's oil on panels, but to me it reminds me of post-it notes, which I
Oh
like.
yeah, I could totally see that.
Especially with the name,
I,
like your passing rate. Sometimes you like stick sticky notes and stuff on for different things.
yeah, I was thinking of, and this kind of, it's very hard to see in the photograph, but those are kind of mimic like the linoleum tiles of a school or an
Oh
institutional
yeah,
floor.
the halls too. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, those tiles are like patterned so that dirt doesn't really appear on them, or you know, it's not obvious. And all of the kind of like marks on those tiles go in the same direction. But there's letters painted into the tiles that say the word your passing rate. I don't know if you like, it's very hard to see in the photograph. It's easier to see in real life because the light reflects on the brush strokes that are facing different directions. But like, I don't know, it's okay, like the third tile, okay, no, there's like a gray tile sort of near the top, sort of on the left-ish, middle left. You can kind of see a letter O with like the brush strokes are going in a different direction.
Oh yeah.
So so that's like the O of your, and then so your passing rate is painted within the pattern of the tiles.
Okay, that's like super cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that I'm like, I just want.
I know Alexis would. I know
I'm
Alexis would love it for sure too. But what about whiteboard series? Do you have? Are those, because they're pretty big? Do you have any smaller versions for those? Or
one smaller one.
You have the whiteboard papers too,
and the paper,
right?
yeah.
That would work too.
Yeah, there's one smaller one. It's like, I think it's like 16 by 20 or something. But then I thought to make them the same size as actual whiteboards.
Yeah.
But then the whiteboard paper is also a thing, and that is small, but also kind of like weirdly, it's like, I don't know if it looks. That's more of a conceptual piece in that it like doesn't necessarily look like an artwork and is intended to be manipulated and handled, but might also not last because that's definitely not archival.
Yeah, but sometimes archivability is not of interest. I mean, a lot of stuff by Dieter Roth is hardly archivable, but it's still landmark work, you know? So.
Yeah. But yeah, the whiteboards, like some of the pigment is from markers that have been used on it and wiped away, and some is sort of like embedded into the whiteboard, like epoxy material. And the idea is like they can be drawn on by viewers and then erased ideally at the end of each day. Depending on how it would be installed and where it would be installed, like I think the directions for how it were to be interacted with would be different. But yeah, just thinking about like what, like in these institutional spaces, the surfaces are designed to be able to be cleanable and like that nothing will penetrate them or last, like a whiteboard or any of this hard like school furniture. But I wanted to make the actual surface of the whiteboard textured, with the marks of a hand, like either touching or drawing or erasing it, so that those like ripples would hold on to the pigment of the marker more, so it wouldn't be able to be like fully cleaned. And just to make that thing like a little bit more human and a little bit warmer.
Mhm.
And right now I'm doing these paintings of computer screens, but like I'm trying to capture the fingerprints on the computer screens. Like, you know how like when you look at a computer screen from an angle, like the fingerprints all catch the light.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I don't know, like I'm still don't know how to capture that fully in paint, but that's what I'm thinking about now. And in a similar way, like something that's not really meant to be touched.
Paintable?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's way cool.
Yeah, and it's incredible because you worked with a lot of different media, even, I mean, like from installation to inkjet prints, which were really nice. Do you still have those, or those are gone now? Was it? They're
Wait,
from
what?
like
Yeah.
10 years ago.
I don't know if I still have those. Oh man, that brings me back. I wonder if I still have. They might be like at my parents' house even.
I see.
Oh. That was before I became a teacher. That was before I knew I was going to become a teacher.
Well, it's also long before you went to grad school too. So
yeah, that was like I guess no. At that time I was in grad school for teaching, so
that's what I meant. But it's not the Yale program.
No, yeah. But I
So
didn't know I would really. Yeah.
But I still think they're really dope. I really like them.
Yeah, I stand by that piece. That's
No,
why
I
it's
mean,
on the
they're
website.
still important, even if it's early work.
Yeah.
They're still integral. So, but yeah, whatever you feel like, just when you want to send something, I'll give you the address, but then, just send off a JPEG checklist with all that, and then I'll compile that. They won't really appear on Artfair because we already have other pieces.
Sure.
But
what was I gonna say? Is there a timeline that I should be working within, or
no, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, we're thinking probably like fall. I guess it's up to you.
Okay,
I don't know. I mean, that gives you a lot of time. I guess I don't know.
No, that sounds good. It would be nice. It would just be nice to have a little bit of time. Like spring break is coming up, so I'll have more time in the studio then, and that sounds awesome.
I mean, we're looking probably like. I mean, these shows at the other place, they can also be a lot longer because unlike here, which is our original space, the project space, everything's like very fast paced because it's not stable. But the other places, like we can store it. I mean, it's 6,000 square feet. We're building IKEA does since we got.
I saw that on Instagram.
Oh yeah, but we're gonna actually have some really nice place. We have like art books we're moving in there. And it's gonna be just a good place for look professional, but also a good place for studying about contemporary art. And Bryce will be there too because when there's sales, then we'll be able to keep track of them too. Because and the art fair has been really easy, surprisingly easy. Like we got paid like within like 2 days.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
Like as soon as the artwork's delivered. They only pay obviously after you deliver it.
Right.
So it was very painless.
Okay, cool.
But,
so the works that would be in the new space, none of them would be on art fair, some of them, or
it's up to you. We can do some of them. I mean, the thing is, when we do your solo, we'll keep some inventory. I mean, depending. If you're like Chun and decide to deliver us 200 works on paper, we'll have no way of showing all of them at once. In fact, Chun could probably have a museum show by himself, but poor Chun, right?
But yeah, it's kind of flexible, but we can post stuff on the art fair as well. We'll have at that space, whether it's like showing or not.
Yeah, so, actually, art fair is really nice because I have an on and off switch.
Oh,
I could turn on and off artworks, which is really, like one of Chin's works is turned off because it's at a group show in Boston, for example. So it's not like it's like impossible. And I will have all the works anyway, like put on there. It's just whether they're turned on and off doesn't matter. When they're like not showing, or they're not showing them, they'll be on art fair pretty much. But the solo show, it's kind of like we don't, someone buys the work locally, then makes it less crazy, I guess.
Yeah.
But Hartford does get a lot of good traffic. It just takes a while. I mean, we're still new. This is what, our third month? Yeah. I mean, we started in December, so yeah, I guess third month, pretty much, since we're not done with this one. So, wow. Anyway.
Very exciting.
Claire, so if you want a bigger work, how would you feel about 6 a.m. to 7 a.m.? Because like
that's made up of
each of the exactly, each of the papers are really small, but it's monumental in size because all 33 would have to be displayed up.
Well,
yeah, I haven't, and that was before grad school too.
We would also need a map so we know how to hang it as well. Some of these more complex installations will require indices for.
I'm pretty sure I numbered them on the back.
Okay, perfect.
At least I hope my past self did that. But
yeah.
Well,
did your art practice change much, like before you went to Yale and after, or it was
it did.
In what ways did you think that it changed? I'm just very curious from your perspective.
I think formally it didn't change all that much. I think my tendency to reduce images and crop and kind of abstract things that I see in the world is still there. But I started thinking more about the way that I paint and why I paint in a certain way. And the paint has gotten more textural and I think hopefully richer than it was before.
It looks pretty awesome. I really love I love both periods. So, I mean, it's not like I'm adjudicating here, but it's just, I noticed something like slightly different, but it's not too foreign, you know?
Yeah. And then like the whiteboard series was like a grad school endeavor that I still would do. I would do more if I had an opportunity to, like, my application for the Queen's Museum was around the whiteboard things, and if I had an opportunity to do like a more social practice collaborative project, I would do the whiteboards, but I'm not making them now because they really require like a social element in order to be activated. Mm-hmm. So that was like a thing that I did. I don't know if it changed the way I make work, but whereas before grad school, I was focusing more on the subject matter of being in transit and in between places. I've been focusing more on education, as you know now, but just kind of like the attention to the mundane and things you pass by is the same, is still there and the same, but the material handling I think has changed and grown a little bit. At least I hope.
Oh, I think it definitely has, because I see the paint like in a very different manner. So, but it's really interesting too, because Yale is also like, it's a fascinating. I mean, the painting program is one of the most very diverse program. Like, I looked at the cohort for the past few years, and it's just crazy. Like visual vocabularies where some people don't even handle a paintbrush, like literally.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But which I really find to be really great, because then you're hitting interdisciplinary aspects. Mm-hmm. But it's also, interesting too, because they're able to embrace more traditional practices. I see some of that. So it's good. It's good. I really value that quite a bit. And, I think also, for me, education has always been a strong part of my life, whether it's formal or self-education. And it's a topic that I have to admit is getting pretty contentious with COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because students either are like not wanting to go back or they want to socialize. It's very extreme, I think. Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know, like where you're teaching at, whether the kids want to not show up. I don't know.
Yeah,
or they want to get together.
They're like dying to go back to school where I'm teaching, but it's like, it's totally different depending on the school and the environment and all of that. Yeah, I think at Yale, whether or not people were like making paintings, at least while I was there, they selected people who had a really like strong relationship and facility with whatever materials they were using. I think unlike programs that are totally interdisciplinary and have no, like painting has different, Yale has different departments. Yale does have an emphasis on, they wouldn't say this, but I think on craft, on like a facility with materials. I'm not going to use the word craft, but I think they do.
But that's very different. It means that you're not just like going there random studio and putting something together. Like for me as an artist, my art practice is I actually do extensive research on the historicity of what I'm going to put in the piece. And that's actually a very brutal process, but as an I would be interested in painting if I had studio facilities, but it's like as a sculptor, photographer, you know, working with fabrics too, I really think about that type of history, and it's philosophically at the crux. Like I just don't like randomly like toss something together, because that's why sometimes I work in spurts, because the spurt is like I'm in series, so they're going to come in a logical pattern, but there'll be like periods where there'll be nothing because I'm doing research for my next thing.
Totally, that makes sense.
But it's also fascinating too. Like you're out in New York, and is it really just hard for like artists to really network, or because it's so hyper competitive for those opportunities, or is it just really...
I don't know. I don't know what it's like compared to any other environment, and also I am really bad at networking. So I don't know that it's hard for me, because I am like my impulse is to not want to impose on anyone else by talking about myself. So
yeah, I'm very similar too, but I've learned to have to do that for other people, which I think is good.
Yeah, I'm also better at it for other people. And like if someone like this, if you ask me to, like if I feel like I have permission, then like it's not like I'm so bashful that I can't, you know, obviously like I've talked about myself this entire time, but like I have a hard time like going to an opening and then like somehow transitioning the conversation to something that seems like it would be useful career-wise for me. Like I don't know how to do that at all. So
that's actually fine, because then you're disingenuous. But I'm very curious too. Have you kept in touch with much of your Yale cohort since you graduate, or
not really? Like
everyone just like, hell, I'm just doing whatever I want, and you kind of
I think people are in touch with each other, and I'm closely in touch with like a couple of people, and then tangentially in touch with other people via Instagram, but like I'm not super close with the majority of people that I went to school with.
Did they all just go in very different directions? I feel like some of them just weird.
Yeah, a lot of them didn't come. I mean, not everyone is based in New York. I'd say maybe like a quarter or less were in New York. And then, at least for me, this is like more about not so much a reflection on other people, but when I came back from grad school, I felt like I was returning to a life that I had already established with like a job and relationships and friends and stuff. So it socially felt easier just to go back to my life.
That's what I meant.
But I don't know about, I think other people might have maintained the connections that they had in grad school more, or had stronger connections in grad school to begin with. Or were building more of a life around their art practice, whereas I was coming back to a job sort of thing.
Yeah, well, some people, you know, trying to, hate to admit it, get into the hyper competitive atmosphere of the gallery system and, you know, that network.
Yeah.
Which is also very, very competitive. And, you know, Yale is one of the primary feeders for a lot of the bigger galleries, not just in New York, but also LA too. Although you're starting to see a lot of cross representation where artists are being represented on both coasts by different galleries. So
yes.
But it's interesting, because I looked at Yale, and I looked at the painting definitely, and printmaking definitely looked the most, well, I mean, sculpture is pretty radical, but I thought the painting was like the most, like in terms of visual language and cultural language, the most progressive wing of that, which I really valued.
Yeah, I don't know, which graphic design might sneak in there too. I don't know.
Yeah, well, graphic design is a different animal because they're important, but it's like in terms of like, you know, going to the commercial. I mean, I could exhibit a graphic designer, but you know, most of them are going to be focused on their, you know, commercial type, you know, work. And we do actually have a graphic designer on our roster, just so you know. He's cool, Ray Wang. So, but he doesn't want to do graphic design anymore. I talked to him for a long time. He's like, yeah, to hell with it, literally, because it was constricting, and he just wants to paint about what does it mean to be Asian American. And I'm just going to encourage him because okay, that's fine. I mean, it's not easy for him because it would have been lucrative, but then it's not lucrative to not be yourself, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess I feel like you could apply the skills and ways of thinking that you learn in any of the departments to either a commercial or a non-commercial art practice. So like the graphic design, I didn't take any courses there, but I would imagine that those courses would lend themselves to like a really rich conceptual art practice or like a commercial graphic design practice. Like,
well, I mean, let's look at the intersections where that gets deconstructed. Like Wade Guyton's paintings are still masterpieces of graphic design that got wrecked. And I mean, I love his work, hell, but it's just like, it's like somebody like, you know, took a lot of acid and then read Thomas Pynchon and then did the paintings. And that was pretty much how I feel. But Wade Guyton's I really like, but it's also very daring too. You know, I actually talked to one of my mentors and, you know, she knew him way better. It was, I mean, they would start off as very humble experiments where then they started scaling up the experiments.
Yeah.
But I think also like nowadays, I feel in this age, people want more intimate work. Like I starting to, I mean, in SVA, like I'm doing the art residency, people are like, they like work like that. And I like that too. You know, I used to maybe when I was a lot more maybe bold and like 10 years ago, I was getting contemporary art like Julian Schnabel size. But then it was like, well, maybe not everything needs to be that. So I'm actually photography has the advantage where a lot of traditional photography, you know, 8x10 sufficient. And I really, well, it's a Tama Apps, you know, really did well for her scale. I mean, everything's the same size, like it was 18 by 24 inches. That's good enough. And she only does that size, but it means something. And it's just that intimacy is also a way of, I think with the bigger work, people tend to skim through that way too quickly. They just look at it, bam. Whereas I think scaling the work down is like, actually, I've been doing a lot of work, which is, that's it. And I call it good. And I think people started looking at it really closely. But it's just really tough because I think the mentality, especially also when you look at like, you know, just how artist labor is valued by strictly like just the output. And people said, okay, you know, auction prices for bigger and bigger items, you know, they gravitate towards that. But I think some artists are just like, you know what, I'm not there for the market. Like I'm there to produce, you know, consistent body work that, you know, I'm not going to want to satisfy the market demand to make bigger work. And then that's one thing I really value about, say, your work. Like I'm actually also excited about the works on paper because they also have a different textures than the paintings.
Yeah.
And there's a looser gestural approach that I thought it actually would be really nice to, you know, show here. And
cool, yeah.
Bryce and I will definitely want to like, it's also one thing too, because the photograph is not going to render, you know, what we see. I mean, Bryce, I think you were stunned by some of Chun's stuff you didn't see in the photographs.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of details that you don't, like, that you miss in photos.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the one issue about technology nowadays, I think, too, and art history. We look at all of our artworks on screens, and it does good for certain things, but there's lots of stuff that you miss, just like looking at it on a screen and or on an like image. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, I think NFTs are the hot thing now, and then they look at Jerry Saltz looked closely at, was it BP's like NFT, and then found like stuff that was just highly unsavory, and was like, yeah, I saw some of the elements. I was like, wow, they paid $70 million almost for that. I'm like, that was the biggest waste of money. I'm sorry. Like I really, like, it doesn't matter. I'm a conceptual artist, but that was just, I call it the Thomas Kincaid of technology because it was that bad. I mean, it had like probably more alt-right memes because it's like a sandwich. I'm not kidding. Like the worst, they had some anti-Asian stuff in there, and like just traditional black stereotype. It's funny because it's like something the guy just probably ripped off like 4chan, but it's like that hit the hammer price at Christie's, and it's scary. Like they didn't even look at the individual squares, but when you start looking at the whole computer file, because it's huge, it's 26,000 pixels by 26,000 pixels, and it's a retrospective of the artist's career, but it's like he made these memes, and it's like, oh my gosh, like a lot of it was very infantile, and I was just astonished. I mean, I think it's a publicity stunt, but it's just like, that's not going to last as artwork, or if it does, I pity the fools that support that, I guess.
But yeah, I agree with what you were saying related to that and before about how like a smaller scale invites more scrutiny. And I really like that about working at a smaller scale, is that people are more likely to look at the work from the distance that you are when you're making it as an artist. And yeah, I hope, like, I like scrutiny
I think that keeping at what you're doing, I think, is great, and I would be interested in the 5x5 footwork, because I'm kind of interested to see like how the scrutinization process is going. I mean, I don't even know what it is of.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture of it. It's in progress, but it's also of a chair. It's like very similar to the chair, the chair paint, like the chair seat paintings. But I'm going bigger to see how I can manipulate like the texture of the floor and the seat of the chair more with a larger scale.
Well, I mean, you could go one of two ways. You go really micro detail, or you could go very seriously loose gestural. I mean, you whip out it's Christopher Wool type texture, which if you look at Christopher Wool really closely, it's cool, and it actually is fascinating in its own right. But it's also one of the great challenges, because that work is, short of having the piece there, it's really going to be hard. I mean, you have to take a really detailed photo to capture what you're trying to intend there. So
right. Yeah. Probably, what's tomorrow? I'll probably be in studio on Saturday.
Friday.
Yeah, because I'll either be in studio. Oh, I have more. I may be in studio tomorrow. I may just have to do Zoom meetings all day. But either tomorrow or Saturday, I'll be there and I'll show you. It's not done yet, but I'll just show you how it's going.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, it's just really interesting, because 5 of 5 feet is like not your usual.
No, it's not. But I wanted to, like, with the chair, the chair pieces on paper. I've made them without paintbrushes, just by using oil stick and then my fingers, to like gouge out the paint and smear it around. And I thought it would be cool to go bigger, because then I could use my whole hand rather than just like my pointer finger or my thumb or something.
Make sure you have enough towels to wipe it all off.
I use gloves. I wear gloves.
You're gonna be. Oh, okay, you wear gloves. Okay, yeah. You can get smudgy.
Yeah, you could develop like a sense, like an allergic reaction to oil paint if you touch it too much. So definitely.
Well, it's interesting too, because Cy Twombly's work is. It's funny because yours is very different visual language, but the techniques have its parallel, and it's cool because the same techniques producing extremely different results. So
totally, yes.
That's what's incredible about that. So, and
art is so cool.
Yeah, well, that's why. Well, I mean, Bryce, I'm going to be teaching you photography, so maybe you'll do some art too. But at least 2 out of 3 here are like doing it, so it's kind of great to have that exploratory thing. And then So do you have any, apart from doing your usual studio practice in your work, do you have any other plans, or is it just kind of, that's pretty much it in the meantime?
Yeah, teaching and painting.
What grade?
Pretty much it. This year I'm teaching 9th grade and 11th grade.
Oh, nice.
And I can show you guys at some point. I can just show you what if you're curious, please do not feel any need to do this, but I'm happy to share my curriculum and that sort of stuff with you if you're interested in it.
Oh yeah, well, I would love to. I mean, maybe we'll do a follow-up to this where we can
like a
look through
teaching studio visit sort of.
I mean, you actually have a YouTube channel where you are doing that as well. So
yes,
Bryce, you might want to look at that.
I haven't been on.
That would be
awesome. Posting there in a while because it's easier for students if I post on Google Classroom than on YouTube. So I've been posting everything on a different format. But yeah, that was like at the beginning of the pandemic. I was using YouTube. But,
yeah, well, you can still, if you have the original raw files, you can still upload those to YouTube. So
yeah, that is true.
And to be honest, they look very fascinating. I honestly think that you could do a ton of tutorials, which is really fascinating. But I mean, you're doing so much anyway. It's incredible. I mean, considering that, teaching, making videos, painting.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting too, because if I get this museum show, that'll be really nice too, and hopefully we'll get it. It's just, we'll see. It's a new museum, so their first show they got someone from LA, and it was very impressive. Well, actually, they had some previous shows, but I didn't go to them. But they're doing some pretty innovative stuff here, and I think Utah is at the beginning point, where San Francisco was in the 1990s, because, and where, San Francisco didn't really have that gallery system,
Yeah.
And guess what? Where are they at now? I mean, they got galleries now for Art Basel, like scary, within like 25 years. I mean, hopefully it'll be a lot quicker, but still it'd be impressive, because like Salt Lake, I feel like with this technological growth, unprecedented, is going to be like we're pretty much the Silicon Valley, like in many ways, considering that the Bay is having, it's getting overpriced. So
it is indeed. Cool. Yeah. Let me know if you want an extra pair of eyes on anything that you guys are doing, or like proposal stuff or anything. I'm happy to help out in any way.
Yeah, and then what we'll do is no rush. I mean, whenever you feel like you want to send work, I mean, I'll send you the address regardless, so that would give you time to prepare. And then like Chun, we could probably, I mean, he sent in some paintings too. Well, 2 paintings, right, or 1? Bryce, I don't remember. I think it was. Well, he sent also a lot of photographs too. Well, he sent in like a mismatch of stuff. Anyway, it was interesting. Yeah. I mean, poor Bryce, you're gonna have to figure that out.
Oh, that's fine.
You enjoy it.
Send us a bunch of stuff. It's fine.
Cool.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like, maybe 2 small paintings or 3 small paintings to start off with, works on paper. And the good thing is at least your work's easier to transport, unlike some works where, my gosh, to give you an example, one of our artists has to come here because he wants to program a laser printer that automatically reads art submissions through email and then prints out the result. And I was like,
and we're gonna video the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
I'm just like, that's dope, but I'm not the one to set that up because I wouldn't even know. Like, I'm a computer geek, and forget about that. So like, that's the kind of stuff where it's a little bit harder to put together.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool. I'm back in the day. I minored in computer science in college and then forgot everything, but. I think it's really cool. I just don't remember a single thing.
We're very excited, but it's just like the good thing about having a space like this that is not a traditional gallery is there's going to be interesting experiments coming out. So just like a classroom, you don't know what's going to happen.
Indeed. Cool. Wait. So
any questions?
Just to clarify, you said 2 or 3 paintings. Did you mean 2 or 3 paintings in addition to the works on paper? Or
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
That way we have some variety. Just, I mean, if they want that 5x5 painting, you can ship it to them from your thing. But
Cool. Do you think like by the end of the school year is an okay timeline for me
whatever
to
you
send?
want. Well,
Oh
I mean,
yeah, that's fine.
I'm just calling to get to know you, but also like plan ahead.
So you'd
Yeah,
be
yeah,
sending them in what, like June then? At the end
Yeah,
of
the
the
school
school
year ends
year?
like June, at the end of June.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like very helpful for me to have deadlines.
Yeah, so that
whenever,
would be
like, other
fun.
deadlines take place of,
Yeah,
whatever.
no, I get it. I get it.
I'll email you because I do want to eventually acquire, one of your pieces for
Yeah, please.
my mom's house.
Oh,
So yeah, well, we have some interesting stuff, and my mom's pretty awesome. So,
But yeah, if you want a deadline, that would be fine.
well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's probably Bryce is probably better at delegating something. But yeah, end of summer, I guess you want to send that, and you don't have to send everything all at once, too. Actually, for
Yeah.
shipping costs, you can send batches. I mean,
Oh,
the thing is, also, like we probably will start showing them like in the fall, like late fall.
Okay, cool.
We want to time it with Evan's show, and Evan's publishing a book, so that's a lot of work.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's that's crazy. Yeah, it's just like so that I have a deadline in my mind is just helpful
Yes.
for me. Not
Yeah.
like to add more work for you guys.
No, that's
Yeah.
fine. I'm a deadline person too sometimes. So
And the
that's
good thing
totally
about your
fine.
works on paper is you don't have to limit just to whatever you produce this year. If you have, previous, you can combine it all. I mean, I'm how many years of work is Chun Sen? That's got to be like 4
A
years
lot.
worth. I don't
Yeah.
even know. We'll have to look at.
It's
probably not
spaced
sure.
out pretty crazily. Yeah.
I don't know. It was a lot. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, he's not quite Picasso prolific, but he's up there. Let's put it that way. So
But yeah, you have a lot of work too, though, over the years. So
Yes. And not all of it's documented. I'm not the best at documenting.
hey, that's fine. Like, I mean, send what you want. It's fine. If you're going through stuff and you're like, oh, this isn't on there, but I want it to go to Salt Lake, then throw it in there. That's fine.
well, don't worry about like anything content wise because we'll do the curating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our job basically. So, and then Bryce and I and Alexis. Well, Alexis will have fun too, but she'll be in Scotland by that time, so she can look at it through Zoom. So.
Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll just keep you guys I'll keep you guys updated on like stuff I make and
Yeah, that's great, and we appreciate it. And then I'll get that New Zealand proposal when a draft or something before I send it to it's a whole curatorial like committee that decides or submissions committee.
Oh yeah, let me know if you want any images or better quality images.
They probably don't want images; they want the concept, and then they'll approve it. You might end up doing some new work too, and then if we have stuff here, then it's even easier to send up to them because I could just go up there with Bryce.
Yeah.
We'll just deliver it. We might have to frame some work, but who cares? We'll handle that part for you. So
yeah. And if you want to send a map,
Oh,
send a
okay.
map. I'm scared.
yeah,
really,
actually, he would like it. Bryce
like
would
the
definitely
map.
be very interested in that.
Okay, yeah. You mean one of the mat like?
Yeah, that you can just roll up. That would be easier to send.
Yes, they are currently rolled up.
Yeah, we don't get that kind of benefits here because we live in a very, how should I put it? Anyway, environment that does not like anything that they think smacks of political correctness. So,
Right.
anyways.
Yeah, I guess the map ones, the main question is just like cost of shipping because like they're bigger. But...
Actually, do you need her info and then you could just maybe cover the shipping price?
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be too disastrously expensive.
Yeah, I don't think it would be too bad. I'll look into it. I think if you get,
they can roll up.
I think if you get a tube.
Yeah, the
like
longest
those cardboard tubes, and then
yeah,
just put it in there and send it.
And then also if you have your own like pole, then like.
Oh, that's true.
Pole that
that's true.
On, it's not essential to me that be the original pole. Like I do not care about the pole, but that's like what would make it heavier.
That's true. So it'd be a lot cheaper to just.
Yeah, you can get the map without that accessories, right? You can just get the straight map, and then you could just.
Yeah, I can just take the pole out.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
It would be that would be better actually.
Yeah, and then it would just be the longest dimension. I think for that is also like maybe is it 5 feet?
I don't know.
Um,
Some
Yeah,
maps
you
go-
would just
some
have
maps
to
are
pay. You would just have to pay for the long dimension or something,
yeah.
which isn't that big a deal. Yeah, like $5 or something. We could do that. I could do that.
Yeah. Do you want to get you got Claire's email or phone number? Then you can contact her.
Yeah, I have your email, but
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
um,
You have my
I can.
email?
Yeah, I can send you
Okay.
my phone number though if you want.
Yeah, actually, that'd be better.
Oh, there we go. Let me input that.
Sorry, I got to stretch. I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
3 pounds of spaghetti is not helping tonight with my calisthenics. Sorry. But yeah, I'm very excited. Maps are very important. I love maps. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yes.
But unfortunately, they're not always easy to store. That's why our map collection at the library is like ginormous.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, well, we have those huge flat files, and then,
Nice.
but some of those maps are really fragile too. Now, I mean, the ones that don't have archival paper.
Right.
So,
Yeah, Bryce, if you have my number, like you can text me and then I'll have your number if you want.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Bryce is good. Cool. Well, thanks. If you have any questions, feel free to send this. I'll send you the YouTube link after this gets encoded. My computer
Okay,
still
cool.
has to. And this will be good because we love doing artist conversations. We got some
we talked about some like logistical stuff that I don't know that you like about like shipping. I don't know if YouTube cares about that, but
well, shipping is something that we'll look at. I mean, depending on the cost. Like Chun was so cheap for him, it was almost a non-issue. So, I mean, we could definitely like PayPal or Venmo, I guess.
Sure. I just mean like if you were gonna select and edit parts for YouTube, like anything you decide is fine. Or if you just want to do the whole thing.
No, I'm lazy. We don't do that. Actually, we're actually making a documentary of Chun's just by strictly YouTube. That's it.
Oh, cool.
It's going to be we're doing some very experimental stuff because he plays StarCraft, and I've yet to figure how we're going to incorporate his video game playing because we consider his video game streaming as performance art. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how this if this movie flops. Sorry, it's just like we'll consider it like Andy Warhol's Empire movie. It's unusual. I mean, it's not going to be traditional, but it's going to be interesting because he's such a colorful person. So, and we'll have probably a few hundred hours of footage within about a few years because every time he streams on Twitch, it auto feeds to our YouTube, so it gets recorded.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's our DVR. So,
magic.
But thank you again for doing this, and we are glad that we're able to talk and
yeah, it was awesome
time to get to, finally talk to you in person. Over the video part.
To see you guys and talk and
talk
about future plans and.
If your partner want to come visit Salt Lake, we'll be around. So.
Yeah.
Once COVID is.
Yes.
Once figured out. We're all try and get vaccinated anyway. So
I'm vaccinated, yay!
Oh well, you went. Yeah. Okay, so you're good to go.
Cool. Well, awesome to meet. I mean, talk/meet both of you.
Yep.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you so much again, and then we'll keep in touch. And then, you don't have to worry. I mean, just whenever your timetable to collate stuff, and then.
And then send us your curriculum because I'm actually very curious about
actually, Bryce wants the curriculum because he's interested in that.
Oh, cool.
Level.
Yeah. I'm happy to do another chat about that whenever you want, and even hear feedback on it because I'm always changing on it.
Yeah, we'll just set something up. It would probably be a little bit later. I mean, I have a solo show coming up at the library that I got.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Ready. So, it's still a lot of work. So we got to hang this stuff, which poor Bryce doesn't even know how big these things are going to be. They're big. So, and I don't even know, like they'll definitely film the library walls, but it's just like hanging them is going to be interesting. So, and I'm a short person that doesn't help either. So.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah, no rush. Just like whenever it's totally optional. Yes.
Yeah. I have your numbers, so that'll help.
Yeah. And then And then we can figure out when we can meet, and then I'll be interested too to look at this, and then we'll set up something maybe next month when things are a little bit easier, and then.
Awesome.
And we got the summer too, because summer. Well, you're taking more classes than me, Bryce, so you're going to be tortured by a while. I'm only taking like 1.5 courses, or basically. So my schedule's pretty light this summer. But,
nice.
But
Bryce,
yeah, you'll still have more free time, anyways. So.
Let's shoot that over because I'll be curious. Because I thought about teaching at one point. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I still honestly might actually teach when I get old and I'm like over the gallery stuff and museum stuff and I'm like tired and I'm like, I just want to teach people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like teaching is
might be an
definitely more exhausting than anything else I've ever done.
Yeah.
So maybe not like a retirement thing, but it is really, really cool. So
yeah. But like tired of like, I guess the glitz and the glam maybe.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. Gallery working is not necessarily the most glitzy. I mean, to be honest, at some point, I mean, I'm a practicing artist, so this is going to be interesting. The gallery will transition to a point where Bryce will be in Salt Lake, so we'll have the main gallery still here, but I will leave for my MFA in 2 years, which means part of the gallery will be in my apartment wherever I'm at. So who knows?
Oh, cool.
That'll be fun. I mean, it could be New Haven, it could be New York, it could be LA or Chicago. I mean, who knows? But I mean, I'm still going to exhibit stuff in my apartment while like doing this. I mean, just obviously they're going to be like longer duration for the shows because I don't have time to. I mean, we don't do monthly shows for a reason, and partially it's not because we don't have incentive. It's just a lot of work to do press releases and everything, and it's also, I mean, every other month is still a lot too, but it's just
monthly is too fast.
But it's just great because I feel like this is important as an artist or you're an art historian, where we are really doing the praxis for what we're taught on a theoretical level. And I think that's important because a lot of institutions on an undergraduate level, maybe I don't know graduate level yet, but I just feel like they don't really prepare people on a practical level. I'm sorry. And you're an educator, you probably know that all too well.
No, that's true. Yeah. Very true. Agreed.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll let you go because it's
probably
late there. It's 10 o'clock
probably want
now.
to do some other stuff too. So,
yes,
but thanks again,
Yeah, great to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll keep in touch
Clare.
and thank you so much,
Okay.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.